Sometimes being on Inside the NFL can be lucky. This man, Dan Hampton, was a guest a couple of weeks ago. We wished him well, and look where he is today. Last Sunday, the Bears slaughtered the Washington Redskins, and they're looking for that pot of gold in San Francisco.
In 1984, no NFL team stood taller on defense than the Chicago Bears. These fiery modern-day monsters of the Midway not only have rekindled memories of the Bears' glory days of the past, they have also helped bring Chicago its first football division title in over 20 years. And in last Sunday's playoff match against the high-scoring Washington Redskins, it was indeed the NFL's #1 ranking defense that dictated the tone of play. Although this game was played on the next to last day of the year, the Bears decided to do their New Year's celebrating early. Their own brand of bell ringing had some Redskins seeing stars, while others must have been wondering whether this was really the reincarnation of Super Bowl 18 all over again. But the players wearing the Raider-like black colors were not the only people doing some hitting. During the game's early going, players on both offenses were dropping like the Times Square ball on New Year's Eve. Unfortunately for Washington, this old-fashioned blood-and-guts trench warfare is not compatible with their high-tech computerized offense. For in addition to being aggressive, the Bears' blitz is so unpredictable that even a seasoned offensive line like Redskin Hogs can get confused. Here guard Ken Huff correctly reads linebacker Mike Singletary's inside blitz, but by leaving his position, he gives the dangerous Dan Hampton an easy chance to beat single coverage blocking. But the Bears did not rely totally on stunts and slants to sack Redskin quarterback Joe Theismann. When it comes to brute strength, nobody on Chicago is more formidable than defensive end Richard Dent. Even double teaming could not keep this All-Pro from registering one of his game-high 3 sacks. After setting a league record 72 sacks during the season, the Bears' ability to put pressure on Theismann was not all surprising. What was surprising was the razzle-dazzle they displayed on offense. 9 times in his career, Walter Payton has completed the option pass. Since 8 of those tosses have resulted in touchdowns, it can be deduced that this play was designed to net 6 points. But when quarterback Steve Fuller hit wide receiver Willie Gault with this simple sideline toss, all he was looking for was a first down. What he got broke the game wide open. Flashing his world-class sprinter's speed, Gault raced 75 yards towards the end zone to make the most of his only catch of the day. This touchdown came on the second play from scrimmage in the third quarter, giving Chicago a 16-3 lead. With the game suddenly opening up to a style that better suits the Redskins' needs, Washington quarterback Joe Theismann proceeded to move the ball fast in an effort to put points on the board in a hurry. Twice in the third quarter, the Redskins drove into John Riggins' touchdown territory. Twice Big John, who was contained for most of the afternoon, capitalized on his specialty of scoring from short yardage range. But ultimately, the key in deciding touchdown was delivered by one very unlikely hero, Chicago's underrated second-string quarterback, Steve Fuller. Injuries have kept Fuller from proving that he can capably fill Jim McMahon's shoes. But by hitting on 9 of 15 passes for 211 yards, including this clutch third-quarter touchdown toss to Dennis McKinnon, Fuller provided Chicago with 23 points. Just enough provision of inspiration the hungry Bear defense needed to put Washington away for the winter. Chicago prevailed 23-19. If there is any doubt about whether these Bears resemble those monsters of the Midway of old, take note of one fact. The last time the Redskins lost a playoff game at home was in 1940. On that day, they were shut out by the Bears. 44 years later, Chicago is once again standing tall. But they cannot claim to be #1 yet in the NFC. San Francisco stands ahead, and beating the 49ers will be one very tall order.
Linebacker Otis Wilson and that Bear defense spent so much time on Washington real estate that quarterback Joe Theismann said at times it felt like a building was falling on him. You know, Lenny, last week you said that the Bears would have to be monsters in order for them to win. Well, that Bear pass rush was absolutely incredible. And Joe Theismann had to feel that he was looking at 7 Frankensteins that time.
Well, now Joe knows how I feel every week looking at your ugly mug. No, I'm just kidding. You really aged beautifully. Speaking of aging, looking at Theismann at the end of that ball game, it looked like he had aged 10 years in 60 minutes. And the Hogs had better take a long look at themselves, because in the last 3 ball games, they gave up 21 quarterback sacks. Now, I am sure that Joe Montana and the offensive line of the 49ers will be taking a very long, hard look at the game film.
Lenny, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, hey, don't worry about it, Joe Montana. He's going to be able to elude that fierce Bear pass rush because he has a quick release and he has quick feet. But I think they also tend to forget that Joe Theismann, the Washington quarterback, doesn't exactly have lead in his feet. Well, that Bear defense, yeah, it's really tough. But that 49ers...
Down theory of creating a turnover led to another touchdown pass by Montana. This one to a wide-open Russ Francis, number 81. The 49ers built a fast 14-0 lead, but suddenly their offense seemed to get lost in the fog that covered the San Francisco Bay Area, as a pair of Montana interceptions resulted in 10 unanswered New York points. Number 53, Harry Carson's touchdown allowed the Giants to give their impression of New Yorkers trying to board a subway during rush hour, and it cut the San Francisco lead to 14-10. The 49ers, however, struck back on their very next possession, as deft play faking by Montana froze Carson and a Giant defense that reacted to number 33, Roger Craig's move into the line. Since most of New York's defenders were reading the run, Freddie Solomon got single coverage, and Montana hit number 88 for a score. San Francisco closed out the half with a 21-10 advantage, but after the intermission, they were unable to extend their lead. Still, they did continue to increase their offensive total yardage, though all it got them were 2 unsuccessful field goal tries. The Niners' biggest play was a 53-yard dash by Montana, the team's longest run from scrimmage of the season. Montana is justly famous for his mobility, but long-distance jaunts are uncharacteristic of this resourceful quarterback. Montana isn't known for throwing interceptions either, but after running such a long way, he came up short of the end zone when he served up his 3rd errant pass of the game. Number 55, Gary Reasons, produced his 2nd swipe, and with over 15 minutes remaining in the contest, New York's chances to mount a come-from-behind effort appeared strong, but the 49er pass rush proved to be even stronger. The Niners recorded 2 of their 6 sacks in the final quarter, and when they weren't harassing Sims, they were hammering his receivers. After number 49, Jeff Fuller's interception was nullified by a penalty, New York still had an opportunity to stage a comeback. But the 49ers lowered the curtain on this drive, and when the Giants got yet another opportunity to make something happen with less than a minute left to play, San Francisco lowered the boom on Sims. Number 76, Dwayne Board's fumble recovery secured a 21-10 San Francisco victory. During a regular season in which the 49ers had compiled an unprecedented 15-1 record, their offense had made the headlines. But But this playoff victory proved what San Franciscans have known all year long. The 49ers defense is also front page news. Heck, these guys even maintain their feisty demeanor when they're coming off the field. That's one reason why the 49ers will be playing in an NFC Championship game for the third time in the last 4 years, and why the Giants reached the end of the road in San Francisco, despite coming a long way in a 1984 season that now belongs to just 4 teams.
Naturally, the Giants were disappointed, but as they say, behind every cloud, there's a silver lining. And even though it's going to be San Francisco and Chicago in the NFC Championship game on Sunday, a lot of people are saying that the Giants, with the addition of a couple of players, can win it all next year. One position they're not going to have to worry about is the quarterback position, because of the outstanding play of our special guest, Phil Simms of the Giants. Phil, thank you very much for joining us. And you've had a couple of days since that football game. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, my thoughts of the game really haven't changed a whole lot. Still very disappointed for the fact that I think as far as a team, we played in a lot of areas good enough to win the football game. And the area we didn't play well enough, of course, is offensively. You know, very disappointed the fact that I didn't get more done. The opportunities I was presented, if I could have made a few big plays, I think we could have had a chance to turn the game around and really stayed close with them and see who could have won it down at the very end.
Phil, do you think that you challenged that 49er defense deep enough?
Well, no, we didn't. We would like to have gone after them a little more, but you know, you can always talk about what you want to do before the game, and getting in is hard sometimes to get it done. And we had a tough time getting back, setting things up, and getting the ball deep. We tried a couple, didn't have success, and it just seemed the flow of the game was always in their hand. Their defense really put a lot of pressure on us. You know, you can't take away from what they did to us. They really put pressure on us and made it tough for us.
Phil, your defense had to contend with the 49er offense. The Bears have the same problem. And going into the ball game, what did your defense feel they had to do against Montana and company to stop them?
Well, our big thing was defensively, just contain them. I think our coaches have a good idea how their offenses run, what they're looking to do, things like that. So we just wanted to make them throw the ball underneath, keep hitting them, try to, you know, jar the ball loose, things like that. Because the Rams, the last game of the season played them, seemed to do that very well, and it kind of seemed to fit in well with our defense. That's what we wanted to do. But I don't think the Bears are playing that way, because they like to attack, and we were more just like sit back and then attack.
Thank you very much. I want you to stick with us, because after this next segment, we want to ask you about the last year. Tom Flores watched the performance of Marcus Allen help the Raiders win Super Bowl 18. The question now is, who's it going to be this year? Phil, if you had to look at both conferences, and you had to pick one man from each conference, who would it be that you think that needs to be the outstanding man to go all the way?
Well, when I look at the AFC first, you know, I'm not as familiar with those teams as I am the ones in our conference, but I look at that game and I see the real standout it's got to be the Pittsburgh defense, of course, for them to win. But if I had to pick one player I think is going to be the surprise player of that game, I think I'd have to pick Mark Malone, because he's looked real steady, and I think they seem to be playing pretty well on offense. I just think he can be the difference in the game and be the standout player for him.
What about the NFC?
Well, the NFC is, I'm picking a guy who I think is a standout player anyway, just because he's been one for a long time, and that's Walter Payton. I think he can be the difference in that game, and if the Bears keep it close, I think he will be the difference.
We have Joe Montana, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. An incredible pass rush of the Chicago Bears. How do you offset it?
With an incredible offense, which they got. But I'm sure that what they're going to do is probably pass on first down. I think the 49ers will come out and try to make most of their plays on first down. That way they have a little surprise element. When they get second and third down this long, of course, the Bears are really going to let it come after them. And I think the key is the 49ers to throw the ball well on first down, and I'm sure that's going to be the game plan. And if any team can do it, it's the 49ers. They're a great first down passing team.
Phil, let's take a look at the AFC. You know, that game is similar to the one in the AFC. You got Pittsburgh, strong defense, Miami, an outstanding offense. What does Pittsburgh have to do to stop Miami? Who do you like in that game, and who do you like to win it all?
Well, of course, when you look at that game, Dan Marino is everything. I mean, you got to stop him. And, of course, with him comes all these great people that are around him, too. But it's a great chore. I think people forget to realize how great that offense is in Miami. I see great defenses go down there for him. I look at the Dallas Cowboys, who have a very good defense. And he goes out and throws for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and it really amazes me sometimes what they get done. And for Pittsburgh to have a chance to win the game, they got to stop him. They got to put pressure on him, and he's got to make some mistakes for them to win. For some reason, I was telling Nick, I don't know why, I just feel like Pittsburgh's going to beat them. It's going to be a tight game. I just feel like they're going to make a big play on both sides to win the game.
Who's going to win it all?
Who's going to